Okay, so I think we'll get started. People will jump on as we get going. Um, Thank you guys for joining us today. We're really excited about this webinar series that we're doing for social media, and hopefully it's something that will be helpful and useful and relevant for you guys. For those of you that I have not met, my name is Brittany, and I work at the OMN office in the media department with David Kennedy, who's also on our call. He's the head of our media department, and then Jeremy Anderson is the head of Synergy, which is where this whole webinar series was kind of birthed out of, with basically the heart just to serve the church with knowledge and help and all the things that we can. So like I said, we're really excited about this. We have a few more of these planned over the coming months. So I just wanted to give you the next date. For the next one will be May 17th, and it'll be at 10 a.m. again on Zoom like we're doing here. And that one we have Mark Forrester coming in, who is he has a really long title, but he's basically the senior director for public relations for the Assemblies of God. So he's going to be zooming in, and that one's totally free. Also, you guys can just sign up on our website, and we'll have social media posts and stuff going out about that, emails and whatnot. So so how today's going to kind of work is we'll have our guest share, and then he's going to just talk about basically just social media communication, and then we'll kind of open the floor for questions. If you have a question while we're going, you can put it in the chat so you don't forget, and then we can just go over those at the end. We'll make sure that we have some time for that. And if you guys have any questions, you can always put it in the chat, and we'll try, if it needs to be answered right away. If you have to leave or whatever, just let us know. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Yoyo Garcia. We are really grateful that he's taken his time to be here. I'm going to let him introduce himself, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. Hey guys, my name is Yoyo. My real name is Hyovan, but I promise you Yoyo is a lot easier. So I go by that usually. And but I am the Arizona Youth Live director. I've been in this role for about a year now, full-time 2 years. And then of course, since 2017, I was helping Christian. But yeah, like Brittany said, I'm kind of the Tom Bachman of Arizona is kind of my role here. And I'm loving it. It's been awesome. We are a little more club focused here. I'm not sure what the focus is over in Oregon, not to say like we're different or anything like that. We're the same heart, same heartbeat. But we are club focused. And so we deal a lot directly with students. I was the campus club coordinator before this for Youth Live. And so a lot of my role was connecting with students one-on-one. And one of the things taxed to me was our social media platform. And so a lot of what I've learned over the past 2 years has been what I had to learn on the fly, but also helping out social media accounts before the 2 years, and kind of learning what it is to be a social media guy in ministry and whatnot. And so it's been an awesome 2 years, been really filled with a lot of information, a lot of learning. Let's see here. And so again, I don't say this to say that we're different from Tom or we're in Youth Live, but we have the same heartbeat, and that's just kind of what our focus was. I did want to highlight though that the social media information you're about to hear today is going to be a little bit more geared towards Gen Z, Gen Alpha. So I'm not sure what your specific ministry areas are, but don't be like, oh shoot, I don't need this anymore. I don't need to hear this because I'm a senior pastor, I'm a pastor, or I'm on social media team at a church. Gen Z is now young adults, and Gen Alpha is going into 8th grade come this next fall semester. So the next generation of your ministry is Gen Z, and they're in your church. So this is helpful information. This is pertinent because they're here, and it's freaky that Gen Alpha is in 8th grade now. And so it's like all the Gen Z books that we have. Like I have one that says Meet Generation Z. I'm like, I don't know if I should read it anymore because it's like it's gone. They're already left. But this information, I pray it's useful, even if you're not a youth pastor. But let's get into it. And before we go any further, I want to open up in some prayer. So God, thank you for today. I pray, God, that this little talk about social media goes beyond surface level, Jesus, but we know you have a purpose for this. And I pray, God, that you would inspire and encourage these leaders that are willing to take a Tuesday or a Wednesday, to learn about you and pour more into themselves. In your mighty name, amen. Okay, so this next little section here, because you might have been like, this guy's only been running social media for 2 years. I want to show you why I know what I'm talking about. And it's not to sound conceited. I swear I'm not that guy that's like, look at what I've done. But it's just to say, hey, this is why I know what I know. And so it's kind of like a little resume. Right now, beforehand, I used to run about 5 to 6 Instagram accounts. Now I only run 2 to 3 because I had to say no to a lot of things. One of them is called Campchella. That is our network meme page for the youth department. Feel free to check us out. Memes are important in ministry and in youth ministry, especially. I'll get to that later. And so they get a lot of views, they get a lot more shares, they get a lot of attention. And so Campchella has been a big asset for Arizona Youth Ministries. I used to run my church's account. I ran a separate meme page that now has, I'm gonna keep it anonymous, but it has over 40,000 followers. That's all I'll say about that. And so I help run that one and whatnot. I kind of recently resigned from it because, like I said, I had to say no to a lot of things, but I did help grow it and help have some strategy behind it. And the person who runs it, we wish to be anonymous. And so I won't say the meme page, but it's one of the Christian meme pages that are out there. And then I also run the Youth Alive Instagram account, which has been growing consistently for the past 2 years. Kind of handing it off to my number 2, Megan, because like I said, I had to say no to a lot of things. Being director creates a lot of attention. And then lastly, I'm also Gen Z. So this is kind of like our native tongue. This is what we do. We're online. So a lot of what I know is because of my generation and what we learned and whatnot. So those are that's my background when it comes to social media, is helping these Instagram accounts grow, helping these ministry accounts grow, and having new strategy and new ideas for these accounts. And what I don't want this little masterclass or whatever to be misunderstood for is how to go viral. I'm not trying to get you to become viral Instagram influencers, because as Craig Groeschel says, be yourself. People would rather follow someone who is real than one who is always right. And I just want you guys to be yourself. I want your true ministry, your true selves to be represented on Instagram and social media. And so if anything, this is just a class about how to be yourself on social media. Again, I'm not trying to get you famous, because I'm not famous. It's just, this is how we can be effective in our little local community with our social media. But with that, the premise of social media is the reason why we have social media and youth ministry, the same reason we have social media in churches. I always say the reason why we have social media as a youth ministry is the same reason there was skate parks at churches in the 90s, because that's where students were. That's where people are. I love the analogy that my friend Chris Moore said about social media. He uses the analogy of Rome. Rome was an amazing empire. They built roads. At the time, they were the empire. They were pinnacle of civilization. They were like the attention-grabbing civilization. Jesus was strategically born in the Roman Empire, where the epicenter of the world is, and it was to be used to spread the gospel. And the reason why it was used to spread the gospel, because they paved roads, they created infrastructure, and there was an avenue for the gospel to be spread more efficiently. Before that, it was very difficult to move as missionaries, difficult to do things as missionaries, because there's no roads to move forward with. The Roman Empire was not Christian by any means at that time, but God still used their innovation and their invention to spread the gospel. The same can be said for social media. It is not godly by any standard. We all know social media is not godly 100%, but it can still be used to spread the gospel. It can still be used as a road, as the Romans used it, to spread what God is doing in your community, what God's doing in your students, in your church. And I know that we're not all lost to this fact, but I want to make sure that's where the heart is of this class is. And so when I say we use social media, it's because that's where students are. It's where people are. It's where community is. And so one thing I do understand, though, is that social media is daunting and draining. It's time consuming. It involves risk. It needs constant creativity, which equals more time. I used to think that running a social media account is not a full-time job. Why are we taking so much time? Why are we doing all these master classes about it? Why would we know this resources for it? Until I ran about 5 to 6 accounts and I realized I cannot do this on my own. This is crazy. But social media, more than anything, is a great tool for your ministry. It connects students. It connects leaders. Your audience can be really impacted by the information you have to share. It introduces the mission and vision of your ministry to new people. That's probably the biggest one. It introduces your mission and ministry to new people. A great example of this would be the other Youth Live director in SoCal, Elliot Bland. Elliot is my dog. He's my boy. We love each other. He's awesome. We met a few years ago at this thing called Valley Conference, shared what we did. Like, yeah, hey, I'm a Youth Live director. Awesome. What do you do? I'm a youth pastor. Cool. We went home, followed each other on Instagram. That was the extent of the friendship at the time. Elliot starts getting a little curious because he sees our social media platform of Arizona Youth Live and sees what we do, who we are, what our vision is, our why. He starts asking a bunch of questions. He calls Christian. Christian tells him what Youth Live is. And because of our social media account, of him being curious, he is now the Youth Live director for SoCal. That curiosity went further beyond than just seeing an Instagram page. It got him involved. It got him asking questions. That is probably the most Gen Z example of a life changed with social media. And even then, you've probably heard this before, but even in our church, when we post stories of baptism, we post stories of salvation, people would ask questions. They would DM the Instagram account. They would DM people they know that follow the Instagram account. They get invited to church, and then all of a sudden they're baptized. They're following Jesus. We had tons of stories like that, especially through 2020. But it's just an example of why social media is so important in ministry. So let me see. I think I lost my place in my notes. 1 second. Yes. Also, it's an avenue of strong communication in the context of ministry. It's not a marketing platform. It's a communication tool. That's probably the biggest thing I want to highlight in this class, is that social media is not a marketing platform. It's a communication tool. Too many times I see churches and youth ministries and social media accounts, they'll say, come to this event, come to our Youth Live Club. Remember, come to youth. You don't want to miss it. Rather than communicating what you do or why the event is happening. And I'll touch on that later, but that's a big thing there. And there's so much I could go into about a social media class. It's hard to narrow it down. It's hard to say, this is what we're going to talk about. It's ridiculous. There's probably way more qualified people than me. But this is just what I've learned along the way because I've had to, and it's a good teacher. It's not a bad teacher when you have to do something, your back's against the wall, limited resources. You're like, well, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to work with. So that's been my teacher. But I would like to focus on 3 main points in this talk here. What to post, what to communicate, and how to make it. So what to post, we'll start with that one. A good rule to follow that I like to follow a lot is keep it simple. Keep it simple. A common misconception for content creation is the complexity of it all. If you have the ability to go complex, I say go for it, sure. A great example would be like Elevation Church. Their social media is always popping. It's always cool. My sister works there, and so I understand. She tells me like what they have, and they have teams on teams on teams of social media people, content creation people, graphic designers, motion graphics people. They have the capacity to do that. Most of the time, if we're in the real world, it is you with the phone, with an app, with a Photoshop subscription you're buying or you're borrowing from a friend. And so a lot of times we see elevation, we see transformation, we see Craig Rochelle, like, oh my gosh, how do we get to that level? You don't have to. I would say keep it simple. Your graphics don't need to be cutting edge to communicate effectively. It's the biggest thing. You're supposed to communicate, not impress. One of the best examples I see of this on social media is this account called Trust God Bro. It's Trust God Bro. They literally have the most basic posts of all time. It's literally like a really nice color with a super inspirational caption or a verse, and they post that, and they have over 2 million followers on Instagram. They're killing the Instagram game, and they have the most simple process I've ever seen. Another good example would be Judah Smith. He would literally write on a piece of paper, circle it of like some sort of inspirational thing that he got from the Bible, and post it on Instagram. Millions of followers. Or he would, in the pandemic, just put his phone up right here, preach to it, and he get millions of followers. Again, you're not supposed to, I'm not trying to encourage you how to get millions of followers, but is to say there is an effectiveness behind simplicity. There is something effective about being simple. People weren't like, oh man, he's using his iPhone, or like, oh my gosh, couldn't get a better graphic. They were seeing the message and it was connecting to them. So that's one thing I would encourage you, just keep it simple. And I pointed out again, not to say how many followers you can get, rather to show that a simple design can be extremely successful or effective. And again, set yourself up for success. One thing that we do on Youthful Live, Arizona Youthful Live, our Instagram account, it looks complex, but I keep it simple with templates. So I'll save a Photoshop template on my computer, and every time we shout out a club, I just take the picture and I smash it on that template, export it, and then post it. Super simple. I don't want to make it complicated. I have too many things to do. And so I try to make it really streamlined with that process. Or even when I promote our one day or Youth Live one day in August, I'll use this Photoshop template of what I already have and just, plug and play what I need. And so I try to make templates. People and students, they don't really visit Instagram pages. I think a lot of times we get too concerned about, well, I think we have like the same looking graphic on our 9 tile, or if you could tell me the last Instagram page you visited like religiously, then I think you deserve a medal. A lot of times students aren't looking at like Instagram pages like over and over and over and over again. Same with people. Just keep the information relevant. And not that students and people are different. Students are still people. And then another thing that I would say is get a team. Teams are game changers. Volunteers. At first, you're not gonna want to hand it off. I'll be honest. You see the graphic they made, and you're like, oh my gosh. Okay, I guess, kind of thing. And you're like, it's a little chunky, for a little crunchy for my taste here. I don't know if we can post that. But I would say trust them with what they can do and build from there. When I started social media and posting stuff, I was awful. I was bad. I look back at my old stuff and I cringe because it's so bad. I thought this was a cool idea, and I'm like, man, that was bad. But from compared to there to how far I came now, it made a difference. And so I would encourage you, get a team of volunteers. I know that's easier said than done, but sometimes even just a team you could soundboard off of for Camp Chilla. A lot of times I have a bunch of meme ideas or that suck. And so I send it in this little group chat I call the elites. They're a bunch of little memers that are just funny people. I throw a meme at them and say, what do we think? And they say no. Or they say yes. Or they have like, how about you put this caption? A lot of times you just need a soundboard. Sometimes they'll create their own stuff. But I encourage you, get a team, at least somebody you can talk to and vent about the graphic or vent about what it is, have some dialogue about it. And then when it comes to the content of your ministry, what to post what you are about. Post about what you're about. Post your why. Like why do people need to know about such and such ministry? Why do people need to know about Oregon Youth Live? What's the difference between Oregon Youth Live and FCA? I'm using Youth Live as an example because it's the only person I know in here with that ministry. But what's the difference between Oregon Youth Live and FCA? What's the difference between Oregon Youth Live and Young Life? All these different things you can ask. But so I know for Arizona, the one thing that distinguishes us from FCA and Young Life here, because FCA is the big dog. They're the one that has all the clubs. They have all the students. It could be easy for us. I'm sure Brittany can agree to this. It could be easy for us to look at them and say, gosh, dang it, they're not getting it right. Or, oh my gosh, why do they have so many resources? Why do they have so much money? But one thing that we know that we have as Youth Alive is we have community. We have way stronger community than FCA because our Young Life. Oh my gosh, I'm changing teams already. Our Youth Alive team in Gilbert knows our Youth Alive team all the way down in Tucson because of the community we created. And even then, the why that we post all the time is Youth Alive clubs exist to evangelize every student in every school with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So if someone wants to know what we're doing, they just have to simply look at our bio. And it's right there. The mission is right there. The vision is right there. Even then, we reflect that with what we post. There's clubs, there's club posts all over our page. We highlight students. We say, hey, this person is reaching every student in every school with the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're so proud of them. Stuff like that. Post pictures of people. Post pictures of your students. If you have a photographer, that's your biggest asset right there. Get people smiling. People want to see people. More than a graphic, I would say. It might be easier to do than a graphic even. Just kind of get a picture of someone smiling, put some words over it. Might be easier that way. Post students, show your face on the Instagram account. A lot of times people just want to know there's a person behind the Instagram account. I think a lot of times we get in this facade or this stage of like, this Instagram account needs to be super professional. Like they can't know, like you have to become whatever ministry you are. And it's like, no, there's a person behind this account. Like, they make people feel comfortable. Like, if they message you, would they feel comfortable messaging you? A good example would be, I don't know if I can throw their name out there. Well, they follow me now, so I think we're good. Sagu, I visited them for spiritual Ephesus this week, and I memed the heck out of them through Camchella, and I got over 300 followers from their student campus. And there was this little bit of discourse between us, because they didn't want to acknowledge us. They wanted to make sure we were professional. And I don't know how many students, young adults, that were like, follow the account. Like, this is what we want. This is who we are. And eventually they followed us, and it was fine. This is all Gen Z, drama that no one really cares about, but it's funny. But that's just kind of just to show that people care. There's a person behind the account. There's someone that's, personable, that can have community with them. So show your face, make memes if you have to. I can get more on that in a little bit, but post an encouragement with a cool font, post your mission statement, have fun with the account. It doesn't have to be all business professional. The people are people. It's something that we are gravitated to. When I think about Jesus, he says he drew the little children to him. Children came to him. Children don't come to guys that are boring. Children don't come to guys that are like stoic. So that tells me that Jesus was joyful. He had a sense of humor. He had fun. If you think about a kid, they're probably not going to go to an elder that looks, super business professional all the time. The page should reflect you. It should reflect your ministry. You means your church. When I say you, I mean your church or your ministry, your youth group, whatever it is. If your pastor cracks jokes on Sunday and he's hilarious, post that on your Instagram account. Our pastor, he is famous. He cannot get through his sermon without having to sing. Like, it's not a Pastor Mark sermon unless he sings. And we post that. We have fun on our Instagram account. We'll post funny little videos because we're a funny church. 2911 Church, where I go, is a funny church. So I ran the account. I would post memes. I would post funny clips from Pastor Mark, or post funny clips from Pastor Zion, because when people show up on Sunday, that's what they're going to see. And so that's what a social media account kind of is. It's a window into what your community is like. And even more so, our church is more about worship than anything. So we post a lot of worship stuff. We post a lot of sermon stuff, a lot of songs that we wrote, that we released on Spotify or on our Instagram account. Because when someone sees an Instagram account, they're going to go from there to your church and kind of compare, like, oh yeah, this is exactly like what they showed on Instagram, or like this, they were kind of lying about what they are on Instagram. It's like a church catfish in a sense. But so post who you are. If your church is heavy on worship, post clips, post an audio from Sunday, post your community. That's a big one. Post your community. Get pictures of community groups, get pictures of clubs, get pictures of people talking in the lobby, whatever it is. And you might ask why? Is because this generation, the young adult generation, Gen Z, craves community. They crave community more than anything, especially after the pandemic. I know we still talk about COVID a lot, even though it was like 3 years ago. I think for Oregon, it was probably like, a couple months ago. I'm not sure. Arizona, we were free the whole time. We were kind of like another Florida. We didn't have masks or anything like that. And so COVID is like old news for us. But this generation still craves community. They're actively looking for it, and they will find it somewhere. That's the thing. They're looking for it, and they will find it somewhere, whether it's with your church community, your Instagram, or the LGBTQ, or with the other people that are affirming who they are. They're going to find it somewhere. And so I would encourage you, make it a place where they find it with you. Make it inviting. And that's not to say compromise your beliefs or make yourself like who you're not. But be a church of community. Post people actually talking, post people having fun, different things like that, because that's what they're looking for. And that brings me to my next point: what to communicate. What to communicate. The biggest thing I want to highlight, of all this whole thing, social media is for you. Social media is not a marketing platform. It's communication. It is communication. You are more than an event or a product. You are a movement. You are a church movement set in place by God himself, right? Gen Z values community. We know this already. And that's why we're addicted to it in the first place. We get easy hits of dopamine from community groups, from different comment sections, from different meme pages, whatever it is. We get huge amounts of dopamine with community there. And so how do we communicate that we're a place of community? I would highlight these 3 points to you, like sub points. Make sure your content is likable, shareable, and helpful. Likable, shareable, helpful. So you can ask yourself a question. Is it likable? This is kind of a tough question to answer. If you want to ask yourself or ask somebody like, hey, do you like this? Like, is it actually likable? Would you like it on Instagram? Would you share it? One thing I can appreciate about my old boss, Christian, is he created a heavy culture of transparency. And so I would create a graphic, or he would create a graphic, and we were literally sitting next to each other. We say, hey, what do you think about this? And we look at it and we say, that's not it. That doesn't look good. Or it's like, yeah, that's good. And kind of just a thumbs up, thumbs down process of, or even, of course, we wouldn't just say like, no, that's not it, and keep working. We'd say, no, I don't think that was good. Maybe try this font or try this color scheme, or I'm kind of confused in the message, like offer constructive criticism, obviously. But it was a culture of transparency. The biggest question basically behind is it likable is, does it look good? I said keep it simple, but it doesn't mean get lazy with it. Make sure the color looks good, make sure the font is good, be intentional with the placement. Keep it simple, but don't get lazy. Does it make sense? Do you understand where you're communicating? Spell check. Holy goodness, spell check, spell check, spell check. I am the worst at spell checking. I have to literally throw it at Megan because she's a communication major and she's super smart. So I say, hey, did I spell everything right? And so make sure you spell check that thing. And then the second point, is it shareable? Is it shareable? It's pretty self-explanatory. Post reels on Instagram rather than stories because you can repost those super easily. Other people will repost them. Students will repost to their stories if they agree with what you're communicating. And interesting about Gen Z, it's kind of like a weird fact about us, is that they will post something, and based on the amount of interaction or likes, that will determine their beliefs sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And so if they post something and it doesn't get a lot of attention, they'll take it down, post something else. And if it gets a lot of attention, that's what they believe. It's really flaky, but it's kind of what's happening. And so even then, if they post what they believe, they'll post it from your church, from your ministry. I think it's a big sign that things are happening there. Let's see what else. So it's a little flaky thing about us. Is it shareable? There we go. Repost their stories, especially if you're communicating the why. If you're communicating the why, make sure it's extremely shareable. So don't just post a story because no one can really share that. Post a reel, post an Instagram post. A big pro tip for you guys is the carousel post. Are you guys familiar with carousel posts? The ones where you swipe through multiple pictures. Those are great for the algorithm in the sense that you post it once, and if it doesn't get any attention, like if someone scrolls by it, Instagram will literally post it again on a different slide or a different tile on their timeline. So they have like 2 chances of seeing it, more than likely to see it. Even then, what I used to do is I would post our church's notes in the front end and put a meme in the back. And so I would post the meme on our story or post the meme on my story. So when someone clicks on the meme, it takes them to the front of the carousel where the church notes are. So they have to read the notes or at least see them to get to the meme. And so just a little fun tip about that is carousels are super helpful. And the third question here, is it helpful? I think this is where many youth groups fall off because they're stuck on promoting the what over the why. They're promoting the what we are, what we do, instead of why we do it. And so what is happening? They would say like, come to youth this Wednesday, you don't want to miss out. And I know you don't want me to miss out. I know you want me there. I know you want my presence. I know you want my attention. But why do I need to be there? Why don't I want to miss out? Like I could go to my friend Tony's house and we can, get high together, whatever it is, or I can go to this party. I can do that. But why don't you want me? Why do you want me there? So a good example would be come to such and such youth this weekend. We're having a conversation about mental health. You don't want to miss it. Like tell them what you're talking about. Sometimes people want to have notes as a surprise, like, oh, I'm hitting with the 1-2 combo on Sunday. It's like, no, we're talking about purity this Sunday. We're going to talk about this conversation. And I tell my Youth Alive students to do the same thing when they post on Instagram. Like, hey, we're talking about depression. We're talking about anxiety. We're talking about things that Gen Z is going through. They will sacrifice a lot to get some help when it comes to mental health, when it comes to, whatever it is the Bible has to offer. or even if you're talking about LGBTQ plus stuff, they will definitely show up there, whether to argue or to hear, to listen, whatever it is. And so that's one thing I would advise is like, hey, this is what we're talking about. Why don't you want to be there? Why do you want to be there? We have this we're talking about. We have an awesome thing. We have this, whatever it is. Post the why. Let's see here. And there is a difference. And when it comes to Youth Alive, we're consistently posting the why. Even then, I forget where I saw this study at, but a study says a person will determine if they will follow you based on the first 9 tiles of your page. And so they'll go to your page sometimes, and the first 9 tiles they'll scroll through, see what you're about, and they'll decide from there if they like what you're saying, who you are, and whatnot. Let's see here. And then of course I have to highlight this because it's just kind of part of who I am, is memes. Memes, being funny in person isn't easy already, but being funny online is a different story altogether. Memes create culture. Again, like I said, this class is kind of geared towards Gen Z, Gen Alpha, so this is why I'm highlighting memes. But memes create culture. They're an inside joke that everybody wants to be a part of. If you think about what a meme is, it's an inside joke. And everybody wants to be part of an inside joke. Here's an example of culture being built. The Phoenix Suns, go Suns. That is my team. Love them. When we're in the running for the championship, I don't want to talk about that, but I'm talking about before that. There's a social media thing called the Suns in 4 guy. If you guys are not familiar, basically this guy got in a fight in Denver, and it was between the Nuggets and the Suns, and he's in the crowd. The Denver Nuggets, go Kings. Okay, you can leave the chat now. And so I don't want to talk about the Kings right now. So basically, you made me lose my train of thought. And so the Suns in 4 guy, he got in a fight with the Denver Nuggets guy, and he yells at him, Suns in 4, Suns in 4. Like, we're gonna win this round in 4 games. And we actually do it. And so he blows up all over social media, and Suns, they took advantage of this. I have a shirt with his face on it with him saying Suns at 4. Like, I am a fan for this guy. And all of Arizona Phoenix Suns, we were going for this dude for crazily. And it's all because of a little stupid meme of him saying Suns at 4, and it kind of just blew up from there. Or even in Arizona Youth Ministries, there's kind of this little inside joke with us with the word balloons, because we were doing a Speed the Light announcement, and there's going to be a balloon drop. Well, they missed the balloon drop. They did it too early. And so Griffin, he's on stage announcing the Speed the Light amount, and then the balloons drop out of nowhere. And these students rush the stage, like middle schoolers rush the stage, and it looks like chaos. It was utter chaos. And so everybody, like all of the Arizona Youth Ministries, saw that and like trying to control this, and like balloons are popping. The speaker's trying to speak, there's balloons popping and stuff like that. So every time I make a meme about balloons, and Griffin being terrified of them, and he's not, it goes crazy because students understand the inside joke of the balloons. Even events, sometimes only some things that Arizona Youth Ministries or SAGU experienced, something that they were at. My friend Elliot from SoCal, he saw what was going down with the balloons. He saw what was going down at SAGU. I was making memes like crazy, and he's like, I wasn't there, but I felt like I was there because of the memes you were making. I felt like I was at the event itself. It was crazy. And so sometimes memes have an influence that I just can't really explain. And it's not about going viral when it comes to a meme. I think a lot of times we think we need to get a lot of likes or a lot of views or whatever it is. It's about creating culture. That's what it's all about. Even with your own social media posts, it's all about creating culture. When I make content or when I make memes, I don't go in with the mindset of how do I make this blow up? I go in with the mindset of how can I make my friends laugh, or how can I reach my community? Like, make your friends laugh, or reach your community. Think about your friends that need this. That's kind of what I go with the mindset of. Don't really judge your content on metrics too much. Metrics want you to spend every day on social media. The metrics of Instagram, the algorithm wants your full attention, and that's just not healthy. That's not possible. It's not doable. So don't really pay too much attention to the metrics. Sometimes they help with feedback of like, this worship post got a lot of attention, or this speaker's message got a lot of attention. So I think this is something our community is dealing with, is this topic. And so let's talk about it more. I'm not saying ignore all metrics. Obviously, if you're like a college, like I'm thinking of Radiant College, they want to market a bit. They still need to market. And so even us, Youth Alive, the one day, we still want to market a bit. but we're still communicating the why behind our marketing. But if you're building culture, you create for your tribe, you create for your people. And so when I create memes or I create content, whatever it is, I'm not thinking about how does this blow up? How do I become the next Stephen Furtick? I think about how do I reach people in my community? How do I reach the people that are following me? How do I reach the people, the students that want to hear more about the gospel? And then of course, how to make it. This is a shorter point in general, because I feel like if you guys are here, you kind of know how to make content. If not, I can definitely help you out with some ideas or some content. I mean, obviously Canva, a great tool. Megan uses that a lot. It's free. Free is my best friend. I love free. It's an awesome thing. Canva is a great tool. There's an app on your phone that you can get. It's called Studio. I don't know if you can see it right there. It's a little swirly guy. That's Studio. It's a quick flex. I go to the gym. Yeah, just kidding. That's Studio. The app there. It's like Photoshop for your phone. They're going to push you to get the $100 a year subscription, but there's always a little X somewhere. It's free. I promise you it's free. Canva versus Adobe, if money wasn't a factor. I'll answer that in a second. She said to put your questions in the comments anyway, so you're doing good. Tons of free content to make stuff with. How to make memes. There's an app called memes.com. You still get a watermark. So I pay the $3 a month subscription to make those things. But yes, there's a bunch of different ways to get free content or to create free content on your phone or even on Canva. So that kind of concludes my talk with that. So I can start answering questions. The first question being, go Kings. Kings are not great. Don't like them. I'll be honest here.
Hey, I waited 16 years. I waited 16 years.
16 years. Okay, I get it. Suns were the worst for a while too, so I get it for sure. I'll let you have that. And then Canva versus Adobe, if money wasn't a factor. Personally, I go for Adobe. There's a lot of options you can do. It's a lot more technical. But I'm a student of YouTube University. There's a lot of stuff you can learn from YouTube when it comes to certain questions, certain, sneaky little things you can do with the tools and whatnot. Once you get a good basic understanding of what you can do with Photoshop, there's not really any going back. I can't see myself going to Canva just because of what I've learned. But Megan, she uses it a ton. And she does good stuff. Let me see if I can pull up her Instagram. What she does on Instagram with Canva. Oh my goodness. Should have had this ready. Weird Generation Hope. There it is. So this is the kind of stuff that Megan does with Canva. Like, that's awesome. That is not bad. Where else we got here? The ground is ready. Like, it's good stuff. Speed the light. Like, she's doing good stuff with Canva. Even on Youthful Live, what she did with our, because I kind of handed social media off to her because I really need to focus on one day coming up. This is what she did with Youthful Live stuff. Not that one, but this one. Yeah, so she's killing it. Do I boast? Can't talk today. Boost/promote any of your posts. Personally, I do not. I don't boost any posts. That's just more of like a financial thing for me. I'm trying to, strategically put my what do you call it? My money that I fundraise in better places than boosting and promoting. Especially for One Day, you gotta kind of know your audience, because One Day is not so much an outreach event. It's more for like students that are Christians should attend this event, because we're talking about discipleship. We're talking about how to evangelize your school. And so I connect with youth pastors and say, hey, bring your students that are Christians to this event. And so I already have my marketing done. I don't need to go crazy with marketing, but my church, they do boost posts like crazy. Like Easter posts, they've been boosting that like crazy. They've paid for promotion with that. Christmas posts or just different, sometimes even worship posts, they'll just boost a post to get attention. And so it's definitely a viable tool when it comes to promoting social media and getting attention. I know even Chris Moore, if you don't know Chris Moore, he's awesome. He's a great like youth leader, a really big voice in youth ministry right now. He has this thing called Valley Conference, and there's a Valley Conference Facebook page where a bunch of youth pastors talk about stuff. But he's kind of like a social media genius, is Chris Moore, and he boosts posts all the time. And so I would say boosting posts and promoting them is not a bad idea whatsoever. If I could, I would. I think it's kind of the biggest thing. I only use Facebook. Is it worth to get Instagram or any other platforms? Videos are important to us because we are a deaf ministry. Oh, that is so cool. That is awesome. I would definitely say Instagram is worth it. But here's the thing. This is what I'm kind of an advocate of, is sticking to one platform and really rocking it, just going crazy with that single platform. We tried doing a TikTok and an Instagram, but that divided attention was just too much for me. So I said, okay, bump TikTok, I'm going with Instagram, and we've really done well on Instagram. And so if Facebook is working for you, man, go crazy with Facebook. I say that's awesome. A lot of things can be done on Facebook. A lot of movements can get started on Facebook as well. Facebook and Instagram are basically the same thing because they're both owned by the same person. But even then, if you want to get an Instagram, I feel like Facebook might be better for deaf ministry because of videos. Instagram's trying to be more video friendly, and so you might get more of a boost because they're really changing the algorithm up to kind of like, they're trying to compete with TikTok. They're really trying to compete with TikTok. And so right now, if you make videos, chances of you getting more attention, getting more views are kind of high because of that. But I would understand if Facebook is more useful or beneficial because they can post longer videos, different format, more community based. You can comment more, you can react to messages, stuff like that. And so I would say it's worth it to get an Instagram if you're trying to reach the next generation. Because I don't even use Facebook. I don't use Facebook. I probably should use it more. But that's kind of my answer. I don't know if that answered your question specifically, but it's my 2 cents. You're so welcome. And I love the deaf ministry. That is awesome. That's so cool. I've been wanting to learn sign language for years now. I say that every time and then I don't know how to learn. So never too late. Amen. You know what? I'm gonna look it up now. I'm gonna find something to do. And guys, if you need, here, I'll put my information in the chat here. If you ever have questions, I've helped out a few people with social media stuff, and they'll message me out of nowhere like, hey, how do I export multiple files at once? And I'll do my best to respond as soon as I can. But if you need help, here's my phone number. Right. And then here is my email. What's one thing you wish you knew now? You wish you'd known sooner. What's something I know now that I wish I knew sooner, kind of thing? I feel like I've shared a lot of things. A lot of my talk is kind of like what I wish I would have known back then when I started. The biggest thing I'd say is not to focus on the metrics. That is a big thing I wish I knew back then, because I feel like I would get so defeated if I had less than 100 likes or the views weren't past 1,000. Even then, I still struggle with it sometimes. Like I make a meme and it's like 79 likes. I'm like, oh my goodness, am I even funny anymore? Different things like that. So I would just say, again, you're not making content to go viral. You're making content to reach your community. You're making content to make your friends laugh, to reach your friends, to reach your family. That's a big thing that I've had to learn, is that I'm not making content for anybody else except for who God's called me to call, or God's called me to make content for. Yeah, it's a big one. Ooh, I'm gonna take your email down for sure. Info, Def Kelsey. Def. How do you say your name? Oh my goodness, it's awesome. But yeah, sweet.
Hey, I have a really quick question. So, well, just real quick, just for everybody who's from Oregon. I just moved here from California 6 weeks ago. So I'm in Corvallis at King Circle for all the Omen people. But so where I'm at, right, we have Oregon State University, which is down the street from the church. But the church is
Cool.
also young families, older generation. So there's this weird balance of like, okay, how do I cater to our church people, but also how do I cater to like the students down the street, you know?
Mhm.
And so I mean, personally, I think I came at a good time because I have the summer to kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
revamp things that when school's back in session. Um, but like, how do you, I don't know if you've ever like had to balance church people who are not just young adults, but like just older,
Yeah.
maybe more that Facebook generation, but still try
Yeah.
to cater and attract, um, the Gen Zers, the young adulters and stuff like that, and how important you think hashtags are. So
I can answer them right away. Hashtags are dead. Instagram does not use hashtags anymore.
really,
Uh, they don't they don't do anything with hashtags. It might help you in a couple cases, but I've heard it from multiple social media people, multiple sources. Hashtags are gone. They don't do anything for you anymore. Which kind of helps. What kind of frees you up with creating captions, right? Because a lot of those hashtags get a lot.
yeah,
Like 40 hashtags in one post. I remember that those days.
yeah,
So free you up there. But in terms of reaching a broad generation like spectrum, it's not easy. It's not easy, but I think it comes down to just getting inspiration from other churches and inspiration from other social media accounts. A good example would be churches like Craig Rochelle,
yeah,
Lifeway Church, I think they're called. Yeah, no,
yeah. Life Church.
Life Church. That's what it is. So many churches that have the word life in them. Um, or even like churches like Elevation or
Yeah,
stuff like that. They're still very like, they still draw young families. They still draw young communities. Or even James River Church in Springfield. That's a good one.
yeah,
But they still have a lot of, young adults and whatnot. And one thing I would kind of encourage is social media isn't the main recruiter for, I mean, in a way, social media can't replace discipleship. Social media can't replace
right,
evangelism. And so you want to attract them, sure. But the biggest ministry tool you're going to have is your young adults pastor, those in your church that are inviting people. That's the biggest tool for drawing and keeping people at your church. Will always be the best tool over anything evangelism in person. But when it comes to keeping it relevant, that's where it kind of comes back to keep it simple, but also don't get lazy with it. Make sure it looks clean. Make sure you don't have typos. Get inspiration from other churches. Because I don't know what it is about seeing a typo where it's like, nope, kind of just like
yeah,
it's called the ick. Is what it is. It's more for relationships, but the social media post gives you the ick because it's like, oh, they didn't catch that typo or whatever it is. And so I think just becoming a little more fluid or a little more professional. But in terms of content for reaching multiple generations, I think that's the saving grace of the gospel is that it's multi-generational.
mhm,
And so I think just making good verses that are good content that maybe they're preaching the word that just looks good.
yeah,
Like, is it likable? Is it shareable? Is it helpful? Those three questions will be your best friend when it comes to reaching Gen Z or reaching this young adult generation. Is what you're posting, is it likable? Does it look good? Is it shareable? Can they repost it? Can their friends of friends repost it in their story? And is it helpful? Is your pastor talking about mental health? It's something they need to hear. And even then, one thing we used to do, I forgot about this. One thing we used to do is we had like a little mini hype squad. They used to call it Yoyo's Hype Squad. Really funny. And so I would post we had a group me at the time. We switched to Discord, but we had a group me. I would post in group me, say, hey, we posted this on Instagram. Go hype it up. And we'd have like 15, 20 kids just go and like comment more than 4 words. Cause if you just post emojis, the algorithm doesn't care. You post more than 4 words on the comment, like it up, share it. Like, and we just tell them, hey, we're not trying to get followers. We're just trying to make sure people see this message. So help us trick the algorithm and hype up this post. Every time we post, hype it up. And so maybe you can get a bunch of young adults in your church, say, hey, we want to reach your campus, or hey, grandparents, we want to reach your campus, repost our stuff, comment on it, like it, interact with it, get the algorithm going. And then I could also help as well. So
I have one technical question.
oh
Maybe
man,
I'll just email you.
here we
But like,
go.
so I've been seeing all these sermon clips and like they have the captions on there and it
Mhm.
highlights each word. How do I do that?
Oh man, that's some hard stuff.
Is it?
It's in not like hard stuff, but there's an app called CapCut.
CapCut. Okay, that's what I thought.
CapCut helps you out a lot. It's
Yeah.
free too. They're gonna put like a little watermark at the end, but you can delete it, and so it's
Yeah.
super nice. Even then, Photoshop or Adobe has like a caption reading software as well. But sometimes it's just putting in the work of like, okay, he said this, changing like it's sometimes just putting in the hard work of that. If you
Yeah.
want more answers, a good person to talk to would be our Brittany over at our church, Brittany Strawn. She's like the Swiss Army knife of our church. You know how every church is a Swiss Army knife person, like they just know everything, they do everything, and like if they left, we would fall apart. That's Brittany. And so I can get you her contact as well, because she helps out with that stuff a lot, and she can tell you how to maybe streamline the process, and she posts reels a lot with captions, so that might be helpful too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that was a lot of information and a lot of really good information. I have tons of notes over here. We did record this so that if it's something that you maybe want to rewatch or share with your team, or you feel like somebody who couldn't be here but does social media for their church or whatever, we will. It's recorded, so we can put it out there. Most likely, it'll be after summit time, and we'll put it out there. So. But yeah, I wanted to remind you guys, May 17th is our next one, 10 a.m. But Yo-Yo, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate just you taking the time to share with us. Again, I thought it was a lot of really great information, super helpful information. Yeah, so I forgot to say that the next one, you can register and everything on our Synergy webpage, OregonAG.org, and then Synergy. You can click on Synergy. It's all right there. So anyways, thank you guys for hopping on this morning. I know you guys are busy, but we appreciate it. Hopefully it was helpful today. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day.
Can I pop in real quick and say
Yeah.
it's deaf ecclesia. So the
Ecclesia.
Greek word for church, assembly or gathering.
I knew it was Greek. I knew it. It looks so Greek. But yeah, thank you guys. I'll definitely. That's awesome, and thank you, Brittany. It's an honor. So I'm glad I could help out again. So
Yep.
Love you guys for sure.
Thank you.